Hello, I am Dr. Rebecca Meacham, advisor to Sheepshead Review, undergraduate run, internationally distributed, full color, 180 page, 160 page, or 140 page Journal of the Arts. If you've been watching all these segments in order, congratulations, you've reached the very last segment. And this is about the masthead evolving who makes Sheepshead, a little bit turning into a little bit of a discussion about how those editorial positions have expanded over the years and the virtual era. So, as you can see, if you've watched the very first video in this series and maybe some videos along the way, our very first issue had editors and then editorial assistants. We did have positions for editors. For example, all the traditional journal positions or magazine positions, editor-in-chief, managing editor, a layout editor to design the entire book and the cover, poetry editors, fiction, nonfiction, that's when we hyphenated nonfiction, we don't anymore. And what then was called art photography editor, but now translates into a visual arts genre editor. And we had a web editor. So we had a few things. And we also had a floater, which was a really funny student named David Mueller who liked to go between staffs. And we let him do that. That was just the very first time that we let that happen. You can see, though, over the years, certain types of positions have emerged, and we've had an incredible talent pool. We usually have a staff of between 25 and 35 people, which is massive. And we have folks who take Sheepshead as a class or join it as an organization, and then who continue taking it as a class again. You can take it as a class 2 times for credit, who then maybe want to serve in other editorial roles. And so I personally love to have repeat people on staff because it makes my life a lot easier. And because we have so much talent and we have so many repeating students, and over the years, people have been developing such incredible skill bases, what I like to do is provide professional opportunities for those folks. And so over the years, we've created this blog, The Shepherd, which is still in existence and is kind of going gangbusters, as well as social media, chief tweeters and folks like that. And we've kind of gone back a little bit of this communications teams, publicity directors, basically somebody to be in charge of the launch party at the end of the semester, which is another segment. And so we've kind of played around with that. So this is from what would be called, I guess, the black issue, meaning that the cover is entirely black with just these little like shadows of Sheepshead Review on it. So it's really like very dark. And so in here, that's what I wanted to mention, because you may not know that the image to the left is the cover. And to the right, you have the inside cover where you have the masthead. Masthead is a listing of who all the editorial positions are and the staff and so forth. After that, we start adding in other positions. For example, in this, you can see the emergence of the outreach coordinator is kind of a combination with the high school submissions, which at this point are kind of on a bump between going from section. Do we want to do a section for high school, or do we just want to integrate it? Do we need a separate editor for this? We're still kind of playing around. So because we are interested as a journal in also representing underrepresented voices, even if they are just from our sort of, to us, newer branch locations. So do the students on the Marinette or Sheboygan or Manitowoc branches know about Sheepshead? Do they know they can submit here? That's a kind of outreach. Do high school students know they can submit here? Do people who do learning and retirement, does the greater community in different sectors know that they can submit here, and are we encouraging them? These are good questions to ask. So we have an outreach coordinator position as often as we could maybe staff it to be thinking about those kinds of issues or concerns of bringing Sheepshead into the greater community and the greater community into Sheepshead. Here we start to see, and this is one of the very most recent issues, the idea of a public relations editor in position starting off. So public relations and social media, where I really wanted and do believe it's key to start having press releases for each issue that go out to the greater community, as well as our local publications on campus and for the campus community. So that public relations position is created there. And then we also are starting gingerly, this is maybe our third or fourth issue where we'll try to be attracting more multimedia and digital art submissions that will live on our website exclusively. So, you know, art that is video or built on Twine platforms or other kinds of platforms, digital interactive narrative. These are new areas that we're exploring and hoping to add. Which leads us into the virtual era. So as everybody did in March 2019, or excuse me, 2020, we had to pivot to running a journal online, which was totally weird because we were in the middle of semester. Fortunately, we had all of our content chosen already and we were all ready to kind of just move things into production. So here you see one of our first editor's Zoom meetings. Some of the faces here might be familiar to you still, might even be yours. You can see that we're trying to make it through. On the left is an image from our blog, The Shepherd, and this is one really great way that we kind of kept updating anyone who was looking for us, was through our blog. So it was really handy in that case to have, you know, non-static, flexible content like a blog offers. To that end, our launch that year was virtual and we did it on Zoom. And here's a screenshot from the moment. And here we have a Rising Phoenix again contest that was done that year virtually. We had the winners come in, meeting on screen in Zoom, and join us, which was great. This was our first ever virtual issue launch. And this was the first time that we encouraged people to go see our online issue in lieu of or until we could have a print issue. Because when you have a print issue, as wonderful as it is to have print, it needs to be created. Someone has to look at the proofs, which used to be physically sent to us, and someone would go over what the printer had put together and go to the library and look at the proofs of the issue. That was another stage that in the pandemic, early pandemic, people were trying to figure out how that would work. Now we do digital proofs. And then you have all these boxes of the issue, 300, 400, 500 copies. Who's going to distribute those? What are you going to do with them? Nobody's on campus to get them. So we decided that we would have a virtual issue and also a print issue for when people came back, and also especially for our contributors all over the world who were expecting a print journal, because that is what we are. Also, I do have to say, books are just cool. And I know we're doing a lot of the work that we do online and virtually for class, for org, whatever, but it's really great to hold these books in your hands and to look them over. And if you are a student watching this video, then you will be receiving a copy, a paper copy, once that issue comes in of the most recent print journal to come out. After this, we decided to get interesting with our digital, the way that we think of ourselves digitally. So what was pretty cool about this issue was the idea that we had this community that extended all the way through the entire world. And we had the ability for all contributors and all people who read the issue to interact with a map on our website to place themselves. And so you can see down here from, I think it's X Hungary, somebody has submitted a copy, a picture of their journal where they are and added themselves to our map. So we kind of ran with this, and our editor-in-chief at that time, Morgan Johnson, and our designer, Corey Kohler, along with Samantha Vondrum, all kind of came up with how are we going to make this issue feel like it's community driven, but also that it's reflective of how communities are working in the pandemic era. That brings us up to spring 2021, which as of this video is the most current issue. We did our third virtual launch, and I have to say, I don't know if I personally ever want to return to a launch party that happens in person or that's only or exclusively in person, just because of the amazing ability to have people at the launch party that are from all over the world, as you just saw in that previous slide. We've had at our launch party people from India, people from the UK, people from Seattle or New York City, able to attend at these virtual launch parties in a way they'd never been able to before. They're reading their work. It's the first time that we're able to see certain people who've been contributing to us for years and years and years, and now see their faces and hear them talk about their work. It's just incredible. Also in this last issue was one of the times that the journal's been used to honor a faculty member. We've done this a couple other times for retiring faculty members and another faculty member who passed away. This journal's entire theme is conceived by August Weigman, I'm probably going to mess that up for the 8 millionth time, was conceived in honor of Dr. Sarah Schutze, who passed away that semester in spring semester very early, right before it started. And Dr. Schutze had a huge love of animals. And so taking the grief of many, many people who'd been Dr. Schutze's students and myself as her English chair and colleague and our entire university, and being able to turn it into a positive that honors great stuff about her was actually a real delight. Okay, I think this concludes the series of Sheepshead things. And I appreciate your patience and time and learning about Sheepshead and all of this incredible depth. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed doing more with this turtle. Thank you so much.